Hello everybody. So I made this video this morning and apparently something happened and you couldn't hear any of the videos, so I am redoing it. So today is Friday, September 25th, and it's your social studies day with me. Your last time. Miss Stockwell will be back on Monday. So we're just going to watch some videos today to review. We learned about landforms this week and we learned about maps. So we're going to watch a couple of fun videos about those. And we're going to go ahead and get started. I hope it works this time. I really do. Okay, we're going to start with landforms.
Amazing commercial vacation. Let's go! Oh my God.
Skip. There we go.
Look outside your window for a sec, and you'll probably see some buildings and streets, maybe telephone poles, hopefully some trees in there too. A lot of the world that we live in has been shaped by people. And hey, no complaints because I'm plenty comfortable right here. But people aren't the only ones moving things around and shaping our world. Wind, rain, and other elements do it all the time, making shapes out of the earth we call landforms. So what are some kinds of landforms, and how are they made? First, remember that the Earth is made of several spheres, including the hydrosphere, biosphere, atmosphere, and geosphere. The solid part of the Earth, or geosphere, may look pretty stable, but it's always changing. Weathering and erosion by wind and water are constantly reshaping what our planet's surface looks like. And even if it takes so long that we don't usually notice it, it's happening. Let's check out our map to explore what kinds of landforms there are around the world. Mountains are probably some of the most well-known landforms. Basically, they're just really big hills, with steep sides that stretch way above the surface of the Earth. Many mountains are formed when large plates, or pieces of the Earth's surface, collide and are forced upwards. The low spaces in between, we call those valleys. But if mountains don't pique your interest, how about plateaus? Plateaus are also tall landforms, but unlike mountains, which tend to have the pointy tops we know as peaks, plateaus have flat tops. Plateaus come in lots of sizes. If they're medium-sized, for example, they're called mesas, which is the Spanish word for table, which is highly appropriate since plateaus kind of look flat and long, like tables. And if they're smallish, they're called buttes. No matter what they're called or what size they are, plateaus can form in lots of different ways. Sometimes they're caused by the erosion or wearing away of mountains, like by water or really big pieces of ice. Other plateaus are made by magma, which is really hot melted liquid below the surface. When magma swells up below the surface but can't break through, it can push up a flat chunk of land, leaving that table-like formation behind. And speaking of magma, let's go to the Pacific Ocean on our map for a good look at the most explosive landforms. Volcanoes. These landforms are found where the surface of the Earth is relatively thin. When magma breaks through the surface or erupts, that hot liquid rock gets a new name, lava, and a new volcano is born. Hot stuff coming through. Hot is definitely a good term to describe another kind of landform. Deserts. Deserts are landforms that lose more water to air than they get through rain, snow, or other kinds of moisture. The world's largest desert is the Sahara in northern Africa, where daytime temperatures can climb to a sweltering 55 degrees Celsius. Just a wee bit out of my personal comfort zone. But then again, so are the cold temperatures in Antarctica, which is actually considered to be a desert too. Penguins in the desert. Who knew it, right? Time to set sail for two more kinds of landforms: islands and deltas. You'll find deltas at the end of rivers where they meet the ocean. Deltas are formed when dirt and other debris that are washed down the river accumulate or build up to form a piece of land. Islands, on the other hand, can form a number of ways. They might come from the cooled lava of underwater volcanoes, or from a whole lot of dirt, sand, and pieces of coral building up due to ocean currents. Islands can even form by breaking off from a larger piece of land, so they can form in lots of ways, but as long as it's surrounded on all sides by water, it's an island. In our travels today, we took a look at lots of different kinds of landforms, which are natural features of the Earth's surface. Landforms can stretch high above the Earth's surface, like plateaus or mesas, be created in or by water, like deltas and islands, or even be dry, like deserts. So remember these things the next time you step outside. Under and beyond and all around the things that people have made, there are landforms, millions of years in the making.
Those are some new words that we learned. We never talked about the plateaus or mesas before. Well, we did talk about plateaus. We didn't talk about buttes. All right, so this one is for Mr. DeMayo. I love Mr. DeMayo. He's so funny.
Booking a family vacation in a Verbo means leaving all the craziness behind. Well, greetings, boys and girls. I'm Mr. DeMayo, well, the cartoon version of Mr. DeMayo, and today I'm going to teach you about landforms on the planet Earth. Now, the first one we're looking at right now is one you've probably all seen before. These things are called mountain ranges. Now, you've all heard of mountains before, and these are just a group of mountains. So let's try to talk to this mountain over here. Mountain, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. DeMayo, I hear you just fine.
Now, Mountain, before I move on to someone else, can you tell me some interesting things about you?
Well, I have steep sides and pointy tops, but one thing not a lot of people know about me is that the older I get, the more rounded my tops get. Pretty cool, huh?
Wow, that is pretty cool. So how about we go ahead and meet my next friend? Hey guys, can you see me? Oh, I'm all the way down here. What do you say we zoom in a little bit? Much better. As you guys can probably tell, I am between two mountains. And this specific type of area is called a valley. And that's exactly what it is. It's a lowland between two mountain ranges. So let's go ahead and meet my next friend. Now this one's a little bit tricky. You see, it's very similar to a mountain, except it's flat on the top. It has steep sides, just like a mountain, but not the pointy tops. And this guy right here is called a plateau. Let's talk to this guy and see if he has any tips to help us remember him. Okay, first of all, why are you standing on my hat? Second of all, I have one tip to help you remember me, and it goes plateau, plateau, plateau. Get it? Do you get it? Like flat. Now this next one right here is pretty cool. You see, it's a body of land that is almost completely surrounded by water. When I say surrounded, I mean it's almost all the way around it, but you see it's still connected to a mainland. That's what makes it different from this next guy, which is an island. Oh my gosh, it looks like I'm on a screensaver. See, this thing right here is called an island. It's a body of land that is completely surrounded by water. And when I say completely surrounded, I mean it's on every single side. It does not connect to a mainland at all. This next guy right here is called a plain. No, not a plane like those things that fly in the air. I'm talking a plain landform. And that's exactly what it is. It's very plain. There's nothing to it. It's like a plain bagel, a plain slice of pizza. It's a flat lowland with very little hills, no mountains. Very deep. Who you calling plain, man? With your sweatshirt. I'm not that plain.
Yeah, I am actually very plain, but just don't tell nobody.
This next guy here is called a lake. You probably all heard of these before, whether it's Lake Erie or Lake Michigan. I mean, they're pretty famous, but do you know what they actually are? Well, I'll tell you. It's a body of water that is completely surrounded by land. And when I say surrounded, I mean it doesn't connect to anything like an ocean. I mean it's just land all around it, water in the middle. It's a lake.
I'm not a lake, you're a lake. Lake? Whatever, man. Just come swim with me.
Now this next guy here is called a river. And I'm sure you all have heard of that before too. You see, it's surrounded by land on both sides, but the difference between a river and a lake is that a river is narrow, very skinny, and it usually leads to another body of water.
Oh, you forgot to tell them that I'm fresh water, man. Unlike an ocean. An ocean is salt water, but us lakes and rivers, most times, we are fresh water.
So that's the end of my lesson on landforms. Now remember, there are many other types of landforms out there, but these are just a few that I hope get stuck in your head. Have a good night.
Okay, so that's Mr. DeMayo. I've got another for you to watch about maps. We're going to talk about maps because we talked about maps yesterday. And there it is.
I feel like most people want to sell their house quickly. All you want is a cash offer on the table, right?
There we go.
Introduction to a map. Have you been to an amusement park? If so, think about your first experience there. Theme parks are usually quite large. Sometimes it's overwhelming to know where to start. How did you figure out where to go at first? Were you given a pamphlet at the entrance to help guide you through the park? That guide is a map. It likely had pictures and symbols on it, as well as words underneath those pictures, telling you the details of each place or ride, as well as the path you should take to get there. Reading and using maps takes practice. Understanding the different parts of a map will help you know how to use one. Maps can be very useful tools in helping us find our way around in a lot of different circumstances. For example, you might use a map while hiking in the forest. It can help you find your way on a trail, locate a different trail, and even tell you how difficult the various hikes will be. A map can also be found in shopping malls. These maps help you locate stores and where they are in relation to where you're standing in the moment. Sometimes those maps will have a star with the words, "You are here," written next to it. This is done so you know both your location and how to find your way from that point on the map to the store you're trying to get to. There can be maps of a neighborhood showing where your house and your neighbor's houses are located and how to get to each one. Perhaps most commonly, maps are used to help give you directions when you're driving. Years ago, before cell phones, a map that you held in your hand was what people primarily used for directions to get from place to place. There was no Google Maps or Siri to guide you to your destination or do the work for you. Various maps of different destinations were available to purchase in gas stations or in grocery stores. Sometimes these maps were quite large. To use them, they were unfolded and laid out flat. After determining where you were on the map, you could choose from the many different paths where you wanted to go. Sometimes someone held the map in the front seat and gave directions to the driver, similar to what Siri does on our cell phones now. Landmarks are important features on a map. They help us identify our surroundings or the area around us with familiar objects that stand out against the scenery. These landmarks help us to know where we are. For instance, if you were looking at a map of Keystone, South Dakota, Mount Rushmore might be on that map. Or a map of San Francisco might have the Golden Gate Bridge as a landmark. The Statue of Liberty in New York City might be on another map. Or maybe a large body of water like the Mississippi River or the Great Salt Lake in Utah. Landmarks are important parts of a map that help us gauge if we are going in the correct direction. Like landmarks, there are also symbols on maps that may show cities, parks, bus stops, buildings, lakes, rivers, famous attractions. Lines on maps show boundaries, streets, highways, railroad tracks, and more. Colors on maps can also represent what the area is covered in. For example, if there are forests, mountains, deserts, or ice. Most maps also include a legend or a key. A legend shows the meaning of the symbols and colors on a map. Some of the symbols on a map might include a thin squiggly blue line, which might represent lakes in the area. There may be a red line made with several dashes that aren't connected. That could represent railroad tracks or a walking path. A red line that is connected might show you where the street is. There might be squares on the map which represent certain buildings or stores. A green area might show where a park is, and a bunch of little triangles together could represent mountains. All these symbols help you understand where you are and guide you to where you want to go. The key is useful to help you identify which each symbol means. Keys or legends vary from map to map. Most maps show an area from above, as if you were looking down on the map. Think of a map of what a bird might see while flying over the land. You can see the different places like roads, lakes, rivers, mountains, valleys, buildings, and much more. Of course, a map does not show the actual size of a place. Just like when you draw a picture of a house, you do not draw it as big as a real house. Maps are created the same way. They are made smaller so people can read them from a book and can fold them in their pocket. A globe is also a map of the entire world. Almost all maps will include a compass, which shows 4 directions: north, east, south, and west. If you're looking at a map of the United States, New York is on the east side of the map, and California is on the west side. They are on opposite sides of the map of each other. Montana is north, while Texas is south. They are also opposite of each other. Within each state, those directions remain the same. If you are heading towards the top of California, you are going to Northern California, where you will find giant redwood trees. If you are heading to the bottom, you are going to the southern part of California, where movies are made in Hollywood. The compass helps us understand which direction we are headed or need to go, depending on which area we would like to visit or need to get to. If you are trying to get to a park, you would use the key on a map to help locate where the park is. Once you find the park on your map, the compass would then be used to show you the direction you need to head to get there. If the park is located in the top right corner of your map and you are in the middle of the map, you would know you would need to head northeast, which means you would head up to north and then right to east. Maps are made so you can see a large area in a small space. If you are at home and you want to know what's on the other side of town, you can find it on a map. A map may only be 10 inches long and 6 inches wide, but may show an area that is hundreds or even thousands of miles in size. These maps help with directions while traveling from one place to another. Let's look at how maps are useful in our everyday life. A map might be used to help you find your classroom in a new school, as well as where the lunchroom and office are. In your classroom, a map might help you know the layout of the room and where the art supplies, books, and exit are located. Inside of the school, a map of the city can help you know how to find your way around town using different landmarks. This map might show where the police station, hospital, library, and your school are located. On a bigger map, the entire state might be shown with directions how to find your city amongst many other cities. A map of the entire United States would help you know how to get to the right state so that you could find the right city. Pilots use maps to help them navigate the entire world and fly from country to country. So you can see, maps are very important. They assist people who are lost to find their way home. They also help first responders find the right location of an emergency so they can help people in need. Maps help us view beautiful scenery and also find our way to relatives and friends' houses. Maps can help us know where the nearest gas station or grocery store is located, even help us get to our seats in a large arena. We use maps more than you might think. Whether it's on your phone or in your pocket, maps help us find where we need to go. Thanks for following Clarendon Learning. Be sure to subscribe for more free resources.
Okay, so now we're going to do 2 quick songs about continents and landforms. They're super quick. Continents and oceans. We'll do the oceans first.
Get your favorite t-shirt or something.
There we go.
We're
one global ocean broken up into 5. We cover 71% of the earth, and to this we will dive. Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Arctic, and Southern too are the names of the oceans that cover your world in blue. Now the Pacific Ocean, the oldest ocean for what it's worth, and I'm the largest and deepest ocean basin on the planet Earth. I extend from the Arctic Ocean that sits in the Earth's north to the Southern or Antarctic Ocean in the south, of course. I'm bounded by the continents, Asia and Australia in the west, and to my east you see the Americas where they rest. I'm separated into 2 parts, the North and South Pacific, by an imaginary line called the equator, to be more specific. I'm the Atlantic Ocean, the second largest of Earth's ocean sea, over 41 million square miles of area, I guarantee. The Arctic Oceans to my north and Southern Oceans to my south, the Americas to my west, and Europe and Africa to my east. I tell I'm split into making the North and South Atlantic Ocean here by the equator running through me where this line appeared. We're one global ocean broken up into 5. We cover 71% of the earth, and to this we will dive. Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Arctic, and Southern too are the names of the oceans that cover your world in blue. Now the Indian Ocean, the 3rd largest ocean in the world, that's me, covering about 28 million square miles of area, you see. And I touch Africa to my west, and Southern Ocean to my south, Asia is to my north, and Australia's to my east, with no doubt. And I'm the Arctic Ocean, the small of the 5, don't you know? About 5.5 million square miles of ocean I show. I border shorelines of North America and Eurasia too. I'm the most shallow of the world's 5 major oceans, it's true. I'm the Southern Ocean, also called the Antarctic Ocean, though 7.8 million square miles of area my ocean flows. I surround Antarctica, and I'm the newest ocean on Earth. The year 2000, the IHO recognized me for what it's worth. We're one global ocean broken up into 5. We cover 71% of the earth, and to this we will dive. Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Arctic, and Southern too are the names of the oceans that cover your world in blue. We're one global ocean broken up into 5. We cover 71% of the earth, and to this we will dive. Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Arctic, and Southern too are the names of the oceans that cover your world in blue.
Okay, last one about the continents. It's right there.
Get your favorite Kids Learn To t-shirts on today at Kids Learn It Too. We are the 7 continents of the world you live on. Let's learn about the continents together as one. North America, South America, Antarctica, Oceania, Africa, Europe, and Asia. I am North America, as you can plainly see. Entirely in the northern hemisphere I will be. South America is mostly in the southern hemisphere, with a small part of me in the northern hemisphere shown here. I am Antarctica, Earth's southernmost continent. I'm 98% ice and don't have many residents. Oceania here, Earth's smallest continent by land. I'm in the southeast of the Asia-Pacific region, I'm so grand. Hello, I'm Africa, also a continent. The world's 2nd largest landmass in this time of the present. My name is Europe, I'm a continent. You should know I'm in the western part of the combined Eurasia as shown. My name is Asia and I am a continent now. I'm 30% of the Earth's total land area, wow. Together we are the Earth's 7 continents. Please make sure you take care of us and the Earth you represent. We are the 7 continents of the world you live on. Let's learn about the continents together as one.
Okay, so I do want to show you one thing they talked on here about a continent called Oceania. Okay, well, we know that is Australia because the main part of Australia and then this little bitty island down here, that is Australia. But Oceania includes all of these little islands around it in the Pacific Ocean, like New Guinea and Papua New Guinea and New Zealand, places like that. So Oceania is Australia plus all the islands around it. So that is all that I have for you guys today. I hope it worked this time. And you guys have a great weekend. I'll see you later.